Hello and welcome to Drive In Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan,
I'm Ryan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. Before we get into today's movie, I want to talk to you about our Patreon over at patreon.com/Drive In Double Feature Podcast. Just for $5 a month, you help support the show and you get fun bonus episodes like us ranking movies, talking about flops, anything you want. If you spend $5 and you tell us, hey, talk about this movie topic, we'll do it. So if that sounds fun to you, do it. Give us money.
Hey, if you say something, we don't have to talk just movies. If there's
That's true.
something if there's
Yeah.
something you really want us to talk about, we'll talk
If
about it.
if it's not, maybe not politics, let's stray away
No,
from.
no, especially politics.
Okay, yeah, whatever controversial opinion you want us to talk about, we will. But let's go ahead and talk about today's movie with One Armed Boxer. One Armed Boxer is a 1972 kung fu flick directed by Jimmy Wang Yu. Well, sorry, I should say directed, written, and starring Jimmy Wang Yu. It is a kung fu movie as cliche as it gets. It's what you expect. And I knew nothing about this movie. Brian, you actually gifted me this movie. This was a gift from you. Was there any reason in particular why you picked this movie?
I wish there was, but no, I just was like, oh, this would be fun to talk about one day. So
Yeah.
I'll buy it for him so that way he'll have to watch it one day.
Hey, and look at us now. I picked it and we're talking about it now. Yeah, so we do both own physical versions of from Arrow of this movie. Unfortunately, I did not get the chance to do anything other than watch the movie. Did you get to do any special features?
So I didn't listen to all the commentary, and there is a pretty lengthy interview with Jimmy Wang Yu.
Mhm.
That's but it's more like a retrospective of his career than it is
Oh, that's
specifically
cool
talking
though.
about this movie.
Okay. So it's not really a lot of behind the scenes stuff of this movie, just more about his career. Because I did thumb through the essay a little bit, and that's kind of what that was. It wasn't really about one armed boxer, it was about more his whole career.
Why didn't like Chinese cinema back in the 70s think about bonus features? Like they could have been like
I
doing
don't know.
commentary, could have been
Hmm.
shooting behind the scenes.
That's
Like
what I don't
it's
understand.
such wasted potential.
I don't know, and that goes way back even the Hollywood picture, silent cinema. They weren't recording behind the scenes. There were no blooper reels. I don't understand. I buy these silent movies. I get nothing out of them, out of the Blu-ray releases.
Eh, Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
where's the deleted scenes from Intolerance?
exactly. Yeah, D.W. Griffith, Fritz Lang, all hacks. They need. I only care about like Zack Snyder.
That's because they're all cowards. They don't want their mistakes shown on the DVD, so they
Yeah.
deleted
Yeah,
everything.
that's why any movie that has a blooper reel and deleted scenes is a good movie in my book. Well,
Exactly.
except for this one, One Armed Boxer. So, I guess I never really watched kung fu movies growing up, and I mean, I've seen a few. But this show we've watched them, and I've learned to really like them, and I've learned that I just really enjoy a good kung fu flick. I like seeing some fighting. This one is like crazy bare bones, though. Like this is like we are gonna string things together and just show you some fights.
Yeah, plot very, very thin,
Hmm.
but in terms of action and nonstop uh
Hmm.
fighting, it tops it. Like can't get
Yeah.
much higher than this.
Yeah, it's the way I thought about it, it felt like watching a fighting game. Like it was a fighting game movie. It had like a roster of characters to beat. You got your character, Jimmy Wang Yu, and he has his own fighting style. Everyone has their own fighting style, and you get to see it, and it's really a lot of fun.
Well, who would if this was a fighting game, who would be your main character? Who would be your main?
The Indian guy for sure.
Oh, see, I
Uh,
was gonna say that too, but everyone says him.
Yeah, because he is pretty great. I love the way he dodges. And we'll get into it later. I mean, it, I guess that scene happens pretty early when he first shows up to the fight, so whatever. But I really love his like his handstand, and the camera like cuts to him like circling around the dude, and
What's a
that's
stu- it's like a stuttering effect that because I guess he
yeah,
couldn't actually do that, so
yeah.
they're just like, just do you doing a handstand, and we'll just kind of piece it all together. So it looks like you're running around.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess, like you said, he couldn't actually do it. Just like our main
Or get it,
actor. Oh,
or
go
get an
ahead.
actual, or get an actual Indian person.
I do think it's funny that they're like all of these Asian nationalities, right? It's like a whole roster. People, they have an Indian person, and it's just a Chinese dude in brown makeup.
Yeah, and I mean, almost like just like one or two shades below, or like lighter than like actual like jet black. So
Yeah, exactly. It's like exaggerated. And they even have a Japanese guy who, of course, it's a Chinese kung fu movie, so the Japanese guy is a bad guy. He's like the most evil dude that you could come across.
I think now is a good time to bring up between Japanese and Chinese politics and why
Yeah,
that they don't get along so
let's talk about Japanese war crimes really fast. No, no, let's not get into that.
well.
No, save it for the Patreon if you want to hear about it. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Well, I mean, like I guess we should start at the very beginning. What I really like about the movie is that just the smallest little spark just kind of
mhm.
ignites this movie.
Yeah,
Like just as it's like these people hanging out at a tea house. And one thing I do like about this tea house is that the waiter comes over and he's like, well, what kind of tea would you like? And they're like,
mhm.
oh, jasmine tea. And he's like, okay, I'll go get that for you right away. And he just yells at the top of his lungs,
Jasmine
jasmine
tea.
tea. Like, like just,
Mhm. No, I thought that was
eh,
really funny. And then the Hook Gang shows up, right? That's the name of our the rival school here because it's two schools and they're both rivals against each other.
yeah. And
Mhm.
the whole reason this whole big fight breaks out is over a bird.
Yep.
Yeah.
Over bird. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy's got a this guy has a bird in a cage, and he's just like, oh, this bird, I got him for a really good price, it's great.
You can't even get it here in China, right? He got it from like
Right.
another country.
And then the rival gang shows up and he's like, nice bird, I think I'll be taking it. And the thing is, that guy already has a bird too, so
Yeah, no, he
he,
wants
he
two
wants
birds.
he wants two birds.
Yeah, two birds are better than one in my
One
hand. Yeah.
but then one stone.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Yes. Uh but yeah, and then of course Jimmy Wang Yu shows up and he's like, "Hey, stop bullying, bullies." And he kicks all their butts right there in the middle of this restaurant. I don't think the fights get really good till later in the movie, but there's still some craftsmanship here.
Well, I what I liked about the opening is that it's a very dynamic opening. Like, he does
Mhm.
like somebody throws a punch and it's like freeze frame or what, and then
Yes,
it'll be
yeah.
like it'll be somebody's name, and they're playing like really funky 70s music too, like
Yeah, it
over
sounds like
on
the
this.
Shaft theme.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like, did they just take the Shaft theme song? Because it's
Yeah, I
like,
think I think it is. I think they just stole it because it sounds
well,
exactly like it.
that's what I thought. So I was like, it might have been. And they kick all their asses there. And he's like,
Hmm.
this isn't over. Why don't you meet us over here at this canyon? It's like, fine, I will. And they just and then it's just a gang of like purple, like one gang is just all in black and one gang's all in blue. And then
Yeah,
they fight it out, and the Hook gang gets all their asses kicked again.
yeah. It happens again. We have two big fights in the beginning, and they run away like little babies, and they go back to their teacher. And I guess their teacher is just like feels so slighted that he hires like a rogues gallery of people in order to get
Well,
back at them.
you're forgetting one scene.
Am
So,
I okay?
well, because the funniest part of part I kind of like chuckled at was they had the scene where uh he goes to his master, like the good school,
Hmm.
and he's like, why did you seek his master, like, why did you seek out all this trouble? We're not
Hmm.
supposed to do that. We're not fighting just to fight people here. And he's like, well, they were bullying these people, so I had to stand up in the name of justice. And he's like, yes, it is a noble cause, but he went and fought him again afterwards. That's not what we're
Hmm.
doing here. And so the movie is called One Arm Boxer. So
Yes.
like, it's like that gag where I'm in like Hot Tub Time Machine. Have you seen that one?
I've seen Hot Tub Time Machine, but I don't remember.
Well, the gag in
Oh,
that one
that's right.
is that
Crispin Glover. Yeah.
Crispin Glover's character in present time is missing an arm. So
Hmm.
they when they go back to the past, they're like he has both arms, and like the whole time they're like, "Oh my god, is this where he loses his arm?" Like they just keep like
Yes. Yeah.
they keep doing that gag. So that's what I kept thinking about. Like, oh my god, is he about to lose his arm? Like, so because when he's talking to his master, the master's like, "You're gonna have to be punished for this." I'm like,
That's
oh
what
my
I
god,
thought.
is
Yeah.
he gonna chop off his arm right here? And then he's like, and then it like all this like dramatic tensions, like you must clean this altar for 3 days. I'm like, oh,
Yeah. You
like
must
what?
kneel for a week, and you're gonna get hit with the stick 3 times.
So I was like, why are they building like I like they're like it was such this
Mhm.
dramatic like it was
Yeah.
swelling, and I'm like I'm thinking something dramatic. I'm like yeah, I mean that's bad, I guess, but I was
Yeah.
expecting something a little more drastic.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's part of the joke because I thought the same thing. I thought it was silly. It's like a way to like curb your expectations. But what's interesting is that he doesn't lose his arm until like I think the 45-minute mark.
The movie is almost half over by the time he loses his arm, and
Which is interesting, but it's crazy because they still fit in all because I was like, man, this is really late. I mean, this movie's gonna wrap up. No, they really use his one armness really well. I actually think the way this movie's handled, where half of it's no, he has both, and then one arm. I think it's like a good like contrast between the two, like between what fighting styles we see.
yeah, I actually really like the story's pace. I mean, I know like the story's very thin, but like
Mhm. Yeah.
I actually enjoyed the pacing of it. I mean, it was something a little different because you expect like the big like the reason for his revenge is going to start probably within like the first 5 to 20 minutes maybe at
Yeah.
most,
Hmm.
but it's just like the reason why he's doing this, he's motivated, doesn't happen until the movie's almost like half over at this point.
Hmm.
Um and like even then, like you said, like the rival gang shows up, and again they show up with their master, and they're going to fight the good school's master too,
Hmm.
but again they all get their asses kicked. and
Yep.
and then they hire that like rogue gallery of like super overpowered like kung fu masters.
Yeah, we got a Japanese guy who's kind of a demon. He's got like the two teeth that stick out. There's Iron Foot and Bronze Foot, two people that fight together with like really hardened feet. We have the Indian guy. There's the monk fighters too from the I think they kept
Tibet
calling them, yeah, Tibet. I think
llamas.
they kept on calling them llamas. I know I'm forgetting some more. Who am I forgetting? Do you remember?
There was the judo
The
master,
judo master. Yep, yep.
and there was the other guy, the one in the black robes, like the one he kills first. But
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. But like it's just a huge cast and it's really cool because the two schools come together and they show up and they're all lined up against each other, like on both sides of the room, and they fight each
well,
other one at a time. Oh, what's up?
well, even before that,
Oh yeah,
so
that's right. They'd have a meeting together.
well they do that, and they're like you said, he hires all these people,
Hmm.
and the rival gang, they want to take control because the good school also runs like a dyeing business and a brick factory.
I
and
forgot about
and,
this.
and
Yeah.
it's the other part too I thought was funny. It was like these like these super bad dudes show up to this brick factory, and
Yeah.
they're like, and you think something serious is about to go down because you know that as the viewer, but then like the people at the brick factory is like, oh look, customer, like they're so happy, like like
Yeah.
ask them if they want any bricks.
Yeah, I know. Could you imagine? That sounds like a Simpsons gag. Uh, do you want any
Yeah.
bricks? I don't. But they
And
know
then
they pour all their dyes and crap out.
well, they do that. They throw people into the dye and get like
Yeah,
boiled alive. And
yeah.
uh, so, but then they actually do encounter Jimmy Wang Yu's character
Hmm.
before before they get to the dojo.
Yeah,
And
and I thought he was gonna lose his arm here.
well, yeah, I thought he was going to lose his arm there too, but I got faked out again in the same scene
Hmm.
because he's fighting the two Japanese guys
Hmm.
in this what is it, like a mill or something like that, I think.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
Because they have like the big cog wheels and
Yeah,
everything too.
yeah,
Because
which is a good fight because well, go ahead and yeah, bring up the scene.
well, yeah, so like he's fighting those two guys. You know, he seems to be holding his own pretty
Hmm.
well, and so there's one point where he hits the Japanese guy's arm into the
Hmm.
cog, and like blood starts spurting out. I was like, wait, is he the one armed boxer? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, the villain is the one-armed boxer.
so I because I thought maybe he lost his arm there, or like maybe like he was going to take off the villain's arm, and they're like, well, I'm going to take your arm now, like
Hmm.
that type of thing. So, but no, the guy was just he had his little arm in a sling afterwards, no big deal.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a big deal. No, that fight was a lot of fun, but yeah, or no, what I was expecting, I thought after seeing the cogwheel do it, that they would grab him or something and force him to put his arm in the cogwheel too, or something like that. Um,
Yeah, I thought that.
yeah, but no, no, still he keeps his arm. He keeps on working, but I guess we all know his fate at one point, except for American audiences when they first saw this movie, because the name of this movie was The Chinese Professionals. So the one-armed aspect wasn't even well, it wasn't even part of that.
Is that
Um,
even that's not even like a really accurate title. I mean, that's more than just Chinese
no,
people in
it,
this
it
movie. Well, I mean, yeah.
yeah, no, it's pretty awful. I mean, I'm sure in the dub, if it was called The Chinese Professionals, in the Arrow disc I wanted to see, it does not have a dubbed version on the disc, it looks like. But I bet you they changed it or something. Like, I
Well,
don't know.
like if you saw the Chinese professionals or whatever, and I mean, came like because back in the day you couldn't just go like, oh, I'm going to go watch the trailer or whatever whenever I want,
Yeah.
and you have to like hope you saw the trailer and like want a movie that you saw.
Hmm.
And but if you went to like the movie and you saw on the marquee like the Chinese professional, like would you like, oh yeah, that sounds like a kung fu movie. That sounds pretty
I don't
good.
know.
Or just
It sounds like like an assassin movie. I guess I'm thinking of Leon the Professional, but I don't know. I don't know if it screams kung fu movie.
see, I'm
But
thinking of like a high like a business drama, something
yeah,
like that.
no, but I mean,
Like the Chinese version of Greed.
from what I know, for like places that would play movies like this, like there was a place on 42nd Street, they played like all the Grindhouse movies. It just said like kung fu movies on there. So like literally you would just go and like the marquee would say kung fu movies and you would just watch some kung fu movies.
Yeah, I guess if I was really into that, I'd be like, I don't care what they're gonna show me, as long as I see some kung fu. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a very different time. You just went to the movies. We have so much choice now. It's like we can make the choice of like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to see any garbage. You had to take a gamble because it's all you had.
now, good luck even finding a kung fu movie.
Yeah, good luck even finding a movie to watch. Am I right? Just
Yeah,
scrolling through endlessly.
my favorite movie is scrolling through Netflix.
Oh yeah, I love the poster preview for the Chinese Professionals. It's really good. Um, Yeah, but anyway, moving back to the plot of the movie, and then they finally do the lineup and meet up, and this scene is really funny because it's just the good school just keeps sending people in to get murdered because the first guy shows up, and I think it's the judo guy first, right? And he ends up just throwing the dude, and like out the wall, which
Yeah.
happens multiple times in the movie. People like literally breaking through walls. But yeah, but then people keep volunteering. They're like, I'll go next. They fight another guy and get their butt kicked, and it just
Well,
happens for so long.
the reason why they're even at that dojo or
Mm-hmm.
whatever is they're
Sorry.
in the middle of having a funeral for all the people that died
Yes,
at
yeah.
at the brick factory and the dye factory, and then like as this funeral is going on, it's just like you said, like they're not just like beating these people up, they're killing them. It's just
Yeah. They're like,
like
this is a
they're
fight to the death.
they are hitting these people with such blunt force that they are dying. Like you're dying from a punch or kick. Like it's just like you're like imagine getting hit in the chest so hard that you're just like spurting out blood.
Yeah. That's what's so funny about this. It's like they're just like getting punched and their just blood is like going all over the place. But yeah, we already mentioned the really funny one where the Indian guy is doing the handstand around. I really like the Ironfoot and Bronze dude anytime they fight, because it's just silly to see these two dancing around, because they're the ones that do like the meditation before every fight, right? And it plays like that really weird music before it. Um yeah, no, that they're funny. But we of
I,
course, oh, go
I
ahead.
like the I was gonna say I like the llamas too because they puff out, that one guy
That's
like
right.
blows his
Yeah.
chest up like a balloon.
No, I like the effect on that. But of course, Wang Yu here, he comes into the fight and he still gets his ass kicked, but he fights a little bit more. Um,
He starts, yeah, he fights a little better than the other ones, and
mhm,
he actually starts holding his own, like I said, against one of the other guys, and then that's
mhm.
when the a real bad guy shows up.
Yes, yeah, that's when the main Japanese bad guy shows up and like hits him with like an air move, right? I forget that. I wish I wrote it down, but he like hit in the air, and then like the master was like, oh, that's like the masterful air punch, and like it hits him. I thought that was really funny, but he ends up, this is finally where he becomes the one-arm boxer.
Yeah, this is
now
it.
now here's the thing. I think it's a little bit of a cop out, because everybody dies here, but for whatever reason they're like, you know what, this guy gets his arm off, let's just leave it here, we don't got to kill him.
Well, this movie has a lot of blood in it, and he
Uh-huh.
loses his arm. Now, imagine like you get your arm chopped off, like you
Mm-hmm.
like what we've seen from the master Quentin Tarantino is that
Yeah.
when you
And
get your arm chopped off, it's like a literal fountain, and it just
yeah.
never ends.
And the
And
best kung fu movie of all time.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yes, yeah.
And but yeah, he gets his arm like the guy karate chops his arm off pretty much,
Yes,
and
yeah.
like just with such force, his arm pops off, and the almost zero blood comes out. Like I think maybe a little bit of blood comes out of his like arm socket, but not much. And the other thing too is like he doesn't have an arm, and he's like he lost his arm, and they say, but he'll live.
Yeah, yeah. Go take him to the back and we'll take care of him. Yeah. And then like what's funny about this movie is, well, what I like about this movie, there's no fluff like here. He gets saved by some village people because for whatever reason he's crawling on the ground. They don't help him.
Did they
Uh
show how he gets there at that point?
no, because they even say like take him to the back, we'll help him. And then the next time we see him, he's literally on the ground crawling by himself.
Like outside on in the middle of the road
Yeah.
almost.
I don't know what happened there, but it's such a weird transition. These two like farm people take care of him, and it's a slideshow of pictures. It literally, there's no like getting better, no healing. It's just some pictures of him getting better, and it cuts that completely out of the movie. And I don't think it's like the best looking thing, but I think it's really interesting for them to be like, yeah, you've seen this before in other movies. We don't even got to show it to you.
Did they say how much time had passed? I think
I think
I wanted
6 months, I want to
that's
say.
what I that's what I thought. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
thought was 6 months. So I 6 months and just not having an arm.
Yeah, and he feels so down on himself. He's always so depressed. And then this is when our female character joins into the movie, and they're kind of an item. And she tells him about his father's, and he's just now learning about her father's signature one arm fighting style, the crippled fist, and that's what they call it for the rest of the movie. I love that, the crippled fist. And yeah, and then we get a nice training montage. He has to cut off all the nerves in his hand by burning his hand, so he has no feeling in his other hand, and then he can perfectly fight like none other.
Was there a part that I thought where, like, after he does that, he's training his arm, he
Mm-hmm.
like has his arm on a table and he's just dropping like this boulder like on his arm like
Yeah,
over and over
he's got
again?
like he's made a contraption where he's got like a foot pedal, and he like whenever he presses down on it, it slams a boulder into his hand, and he lifts it up. And then he shows off his power of what he can do with his fist, and he goes around and breaks like this gazebo that the farm people own. Right? And she's like, "Why would you do that? Why are you breaking my stuff?"
I like it too because before he starts the training, she knows like a little bit of martial arts,
Yeah.
and she's like, well, let's see if you're up to the task. And then she just like punches him in the chest
Mm-hmm.
and he falls over. And again, it's like this really super serious like
Mm-hmm.
music, like she just killed the man. And it's like, and then she's like, ha ha ha, I'm just kidding.
You didn't actually kill me. That wouldn't be
You're
possible.
just a woman.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would expect it. But he eventually goes back to town. He wants to get revenge and all that. And of course, at the same time as him and this girl show up, I love that the bad guys are in this like restaurant, and they're like, "Oh man, you know what sucks about this place? No pretty girls." And then all of a sudden, boom, there she is walking in. And they're like, "Oh, we got to take her." And then they're about to kidnap her. I think he gets up to get tea, right? And they
Yeah.
almost kidnap her. I thought it was going to be the kind of cliche where they kidnap her and he has to like rescue her or something.
No, they don't.
No.
That she, after this moment, she's pretty much gone from the whole
Yes.
movie.
Yeah, she's kind of pointless at that point. But we do get to see the one arm boxing. So we get to see him do all these really cool moves with one arm. Obviously his other arm is just tied behind his back, but I don't know, there's some really cool stuff. I love his signature move where he gets knocked down and he just basically floats back up. Imagine like a board being stepped on and just standing
It,
straight up.
it's like from Nosferatu or
Yeah.
whatever, when it's just he's like raising from his coffin like at a perfect angle. So
Yeah, yeah, and he does it over and over again. I never got tired of it. I thought it was funny every time.
no, I didn't either. But
Yeah.
his new power is he can kill you, and like it's one hit kills, just like
Yes. Yeah. One
punches you
Punch Man.
one punch, you're dead.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly. And he's just a force to be reckoned with.
and then I'm like, man, imagine him with two arms.
Right? Could you imagine? So whenever they brought up the crippled fist, they made it sound like he was going to have two arms, right? Like it made it sound like he's going to have like one like air arm that would like I don't know. It's like, oh, it's like you have two arms. No, it's not like that. But
Can you do can you do both fists as crippled fists?
I know,
If
right?
you
Can
had
you?
if you have both arms.
I don't know. There's so many rules to this. I don't know how this farmer dude came up with like, oh yeah, I got this idea, the crippled fist, but you really have to burn all the nerves in your arms. I haven't done it, but you got to
Well,
give
yeah,
it a
that's the other
try.
thing. The masters, he didn't even have his arm crippled, right? Like,
No, yeah, wouldn't that make more sense? Like, oh, my arm was taken a long time ago, or something like that.
right.
Um,
And when we say crippled, like his hand just looks like it's covered with like dirt. Like, well, it's just
yeah,
his hand. Like his hand is really black looking.
yeah,
Like
it
it's
looks
got
like it was
soot.
frostbitten.
You're right. And that's pretty much the rest of this movie is
Yeah,
just
it's a giant
he
fight scene.
he kills all those people in the tea house. Then he goes to the judo school where the
Mhm.
judo master is, and he kills everybody there too.
Yeah, well, they make fun of him, so they deserved it because
They
like
did.
they call him a cripple, and they're like, "Oh, you want to talk to our boss?" I think he calls them wannabe Japanese because they're learning judo.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's like, you think you're good enough for judo? Usually judo requires two arms.
yeah, but he kills everyone there, and then the final area that he goes to is
Well,
like this giant canyon.
no,
Oh, go ahead.
I do want to add the he does they say that, but then he ends up beating them in judo with one arm because he does throw people
Yeah,
too in that scene.
yes, I love the very first one because the guy comes to him and it's like a cutaway of because it looks like he's getting picked up. The judo guy's picking up
Right.
the main character, and then it cuts to the wall and you think he's about to be thrown, but it's the judo guy who gets thrown instead. And I thought that was a funny gag.
Yeah, I like that. He looks like he was about to get his ass kicked, but it's just like, no, he was the one doing it.
He was in control the whole time. But yeah, and then we have this final fight scene in the canyon. Really great stuff. It's really hard to explain. It's something that you would have to see for yourself. And I mean it's one of the better ones I've seen. I think the choreography is really great here.
Yeah, I mean, just the amount. What the nice thing is about this fight is
Mm.
that it's all these different styles that he has to fight. So
Yes, yeah.
it's never like the same fight where he's just like, oh, I'm gonna kick this guy's ass and this guy's ass. It's just
Yeah.
like it's like because they even make a point of that too, is like, he's having to like adapt because like before they go to like the final fight, the llamas or whatever, they're talking about like, oh, their bodies are supposedly indestructible. He's like, oh, not if you know the pressure points of the human body. So
Mm-hmm.
um, some notable moments, though, I'll say, is when he's fighting the llamas and he knocks one in the middle, like down a chasm, and then like the llama just flies back up.
Yeah, I like that too. Once again, I think the 2 feet, the iron foot, bronze foot, they have a pretty good fight. One thing I do like is that their dead bodies just lay on the ground for the rest of this fight too. He kills one, they show up, and their bodies are still hanging out there.
Yeah, just a big pool of their own blood. And I do like though that the original leader or like the master of the Hook gang shows up and he
Mhm.
throws a grenade and then Wang Yu just like picks it up the grenade and throws it back and you see two bodies flying in the air when they got because they got exploded.
Yeah. Oh, and this movie ends so suddenly. It's one of those movies. There's no wrap up. He beats the Japanese guy. He kills him after being hit by a boulder too. And it just says the end. It's over.
I mean, it's almost like this weird, I guess, like somewhat somber ending or whatever.
Hmm.
I want to say. I mean, it's not like very overt or anything, but it's to me, I was feeling like a little like, oh, it's over, and he's kind of
Hmm.
feeling empty about this whole thing because they do like they pull away from that shot and they kind of show all the dead bodies like lying on the
Yes.
ground
Yeah.
afterwards. So I thought that's kind of what they were going for, like
Yeah.
he got his revenge, but at what cost? Type, that type of
Yeah.
thing.
I
But
could see that. Yeah. Where it's kind of like what is he feeling even after murdering all these people?
right, but
Yeah.
he gets his revenge, and boom, the end.
Yeah. Wow. And then everyone clapped in the theater at the Chinese professionals.
I would have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, seriously, I guess just like final thoughts. This movie's really fun. It's a really fun kung fu movie. I had never heard of it. At least in the circles I know of, nobody really talks about it. I think it's worth checking out. It's just a really good time, full of fights, light on plot. I think you'll have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any interest towards kung fu movies
Hmm.
or just fighting in general, I mean, this is a pretty high recommend for me. I mean, I had a
Hmm.
really fun time watching it. I was never bored at any moment.
Hmm.
It was always really fun to watch, and I mean, it's so different every time. It's not like it's not like some movies where they're just fighting like endless bad guys and they're just like going down with like one punch, like poop poop, like that type of thing, like you see in some of those movies. But I had a great time watching it, and I would definitely recommend this. Check out.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ryan, what are we going to be covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, like I said, this is Romance Month, like I said, and that may be the number one thing on people's mind this month. But Nathan, what's the number two thing that people are thinking of right now this month?
For November heads,
Yeah,
getting great
Nove heads.
deals. Oh, Nove head. Sorry, yeah, getting great deals on Black Friday, of course.
No,
Oh,
Nathan. Why?
okay.
I don't even know why you even think that. It's pretty obvious. People are thinking about Elliot Gould, of course.
Ah, yes, I love Elliot Gould. Yeah.
I every November I break out my Elliot Gould collection. I just sit and watch his filmography throughout the whole month of November.
Yeah, the box set.
Yeah, the Gould set.
Oh, yes,
And
yeah.
so Nathan, we're going to be talking about one of Elliot Gould's most romantic performance, and that is, of course, Over the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh, wow,
Yes.
yes, yeah. You've been talking about this one for a while.
Yeah. I cannot wait one bit. And that movie is free on YouTube, and it's also on MGM Plus if you have that.
It's on MGM Plus. Sorry, you're surprising me with all of these movies. I didn't even know that this was these streaming services. Well, you know what? I'm excited for Over the Brooklyn Bridge.
Perfect.
But if you want to email us at drivingdoublefeaturepodcast@gmail.com. You can X at us at DIDFpod. But until next time.
Until next time.